Hi, I'm April. I'm a singer-songwriter and music teacher, and today we are going to be talking about what to do with that new instrument you got for the holidays. Getting a new instrument for the holidays can be really super exciting, but a lot of the time that New Year's resolution to play your instrument can kind of fade once school starts again, and once work gets back on track, and once everything goes back to normal. Even if you've never played a single note on your instrument, there are tons of little things that you can do to prepare yourself to be the amazing musician you've always wanted to be. So here's a list of 5 things you can do to set yourself up for success. Number 1. Take your instrument out of the case or leave the lid of your piano open and just leave it that way. This is really a mental trick in order to convince your brain that it is something that you need to do. If your instrument is away in a case in your closet somewhere, you are way less likely to think about it on a daily basis, and so you're way less likely to actually practice. So if you can get a stand to put your new guitar or a place where your ukulele can sit prominently, you're much more likely to actually think about it on a daily basis and therefore actually play it. Number 2, if you've got a string instrument, tune it. If you're not ready yet to invest in a tuner, you can download an app that's called Guitar Tuna, like the fish. It is totally free. I think there is some paid stuff that you can add on, but it does have just about every string instrument and it works pretty reliably, and I'm not being paid by anybody to say that. I just really like it. Number 3, listen to music that features your instrument. You can listen to whatever genre or genres that you prefer, but start thinking about songs that you might want to learn, start thinking about different genres that are exciting to you, and you can even start looking for lists of common beginner songs on your instrument. Number 4 is, I think, the most important thing on this list to get started, and it is to find a great teacher. There are lots of amazing ways to find great teachers, but I'm just going to lay out a few of them, and hopefully you can find someone really great. If there are any colleges or universities in your area with great music programs, you can usually start by looking for either a community school or by finding a student or professor who's willing to take on private students. There are also tons of amazing private instruction companies, like the one I work for, that either have lessons in a studio or in-home lessons, or some of them even have group classes. Those kinds of companies are awesome because the teachers are vetted and interviewed and auditioned, so you can know going into it that those teachers are experienced and educated and trusted. If you decide to go for a private teacher who you find on the internet somewhere or through a friend or on a flyer, that's awesome too. But there are a couple of things that you should be kind of looking for. Make sure to ask lots of questions about their teaching style, any methods that they use, and their educational and teaching background. If you are looking for lessons for your child specifically, see if you can sit in on the first lesson. Sitting in will give you a sense of how to help them when they're practicing. It'll give you a good sense of what the teacher is like and what their expectations are. Plus, you'll learn some really cool things in the process. If you don't have time to sit in on lessons, or if your kid kind of closes up when a parent is around, do not fret, pun intended. You can ask your child's music teacher to either send you text or email updates, or have conversations with you at the end of each lesson. Finally, number 5 is to set realistic, measurable goals and practice routines. Most adults do really well with an hour-long private lesson once a week. However, if you find that you're the type of person who needs some extra accountability, or if you don't have much practice time during the week, I would start with maybe 2 half-an-hour lessons twice a week. Sometimes going twice a week can help your brain to remember some of the stuff that it otherwise might have missed. For preteens and teenagers, I would recommend about a 45-minute lesson once a week. Though depending on age and maturity level and interest, I would also maybe say that 15 minutes more or less could be great for them. You can always change that amount of time later if you find that more or less time would be better. For really young kids, I would generally recommend a 30-minute lesson, and then if they can handle more, that's awesome. Just make sure that you find a teacher who is fun and engaging and who makes sure that all of that time is filled. When it comes to practice, the best advice that I've heard is for kids to practice their age. So if you have a 5-year-old, make them practice for 5 minutes a day. If you have a 12-year-old, same deal. They would practice for 12 minutes a day. Now, obviously, a 36-year-old beginner is not going to want to practice for 36 minutes a day because that would be excruciating. Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star really doesn't go on very long. So I would say that for older teens and adults, it's generally a good idea to just start really small and build from there. Pick a small, reasonable amount of time that fits into your schedule pretty easily, and just be consistent. If it's 5 minutes, that's awesome. Any amount of time every single day is going to be infinitely better than 3 or 4 hours once a week. No matter your age, routine is the most important thing, so just keep something that's small and that you can incorporate into the schedule you already have. I would start by just setting an alarm at whatever time you deem to be the best practice time. If you happen to miss a day, if your schedule is weird or you sleep in past your alarm or something else happens that's unforeseen, or even if you just get lazy or depressed and you just don't want to practice your instrument, all you have to do is just pick right up where you left off. Missing some time practicing is not the end of the world, and it doesn't make you any less of a musician. If you miss several lessons in a row, that's okay. Go back. Do not fall into that gym membership thing where you're paying for something that you're not actually using, or feeling so guilty that you think your teacher is going to judge you and so you just never go back. As a private music teacher, it is so awesome when a student hasn't been there for ages and you think that they've dropped off the planet and they come back. It is the best feeling. So give your teacher that feeling, and even if it's been months, go back because they miss you and they would love to see your beautiful face again. As for goal setting, know right off the bat that you are not going to sound like Jimi Hendrix after your first lesson. August Rush is a lie. If you have trouble pressing down the strings in your first guitar lesson, that is the most normal thing in the world. It's super difficult to press down the strings during the first lesson. Everyone works at a different pace, and that's okay. Just enjoy the process, and in the meantime, think about macro goals and micro accomplishments. For instance, your macro goal can be to learn how to play Hey Joe, and your micro accomplishment can be finally getting to a point where the strings don't hurt your fingers. You're allowed to get excited about the little things, and in fact, that's a great way to keep the momentum going. Just keep those big goals in mind, enjoy the process of learning, and you're going to be great. If you found this video helpful, be sure to leave me a like, a comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to ring that little bell if you want to be notified the next time I post.